Hello everybody, welcome back to the Stretford review. This is my preview of the big one, Man United versus Liverpool at Anfield this Sunday. We've had our international break. I'm missing the club football. If you're an Irish fan, this international break has been just as heartbreaking as if you're a United fan for the last few years. But we won't get into that too much, that's a different topic altogether. We're here to talk about Manchester United against Liverpool and the preview, how I think it's going to go, how we'll line up, how Liverpool will line up as well. It's going to be very interesting to say the least. I've heard a lot of people say it's a good time to face Liverpool because they've lost their last 3 games. So they lost against Galatasaray, against Chelsea and against Palace. But I think that might even work against us in a way, because if you've lost 3 games in a row and you're a big team, then you know you have to bounce back as soon as possible, especially with Arsenal building momentum and overtaking Liverpool in the league table. Liverpool need a game to get their winning streak back, and if you could ask them, the supporters and the fans, for one game to kind of bring the feel-good factor back around the club, it will be Man United at home, especially with how some of the results have gone against Liverpool the last few years, which I'm not going to talk about the last few years against Liverpool. That's between me and my therapist. I'm not going to talk about it on YouTube for respect for myself. But yeah, I wouldn't look too far into the whole Liverpool have lost 3 games in a row, this is a good time for United to play them. Maybe I'm more of a glass half empty kind of person, and I'm looking at it like they've lost 3 in a row. They need to get their groove back, and we're the perfect team for them to play against to get that groove back. Especially since it's at Anfield. I mean, we haven't won Anfield since the 2015-16 season. I think it was January 2016, so we're coming up on 10 years when we last won at Anfield. But also at the same time, our record against them at Old Trafford is also terrible. And in terms of the last 4 or 5 years, we've actually generally done better at Anfield than we have at Old Trafford. We got a draw there the last 2 seasons in a row. Yeah, we drew 0-0 in the 23-24 season, and then we drew 2-2 in 24-25. So I guess the last couple of seasons haven't been too bad, especially considering we lost our home games against them the last 2 seasons. I think it's a more interesting game because Liverpool, I guess, have become more unpredictable this season than they were last season, whereas we're just unpredictable all the time. But this is definitely our biggest test yet, and we've failed much easier tests this season. Grimsby, Arsenal, Brentford. It should be expected that we're obviously not ready for this test. In terms of how we'll line up, I'll put my predicted lineup on the screen here. Obviously, I'm a realist, so I'm not gonna say we're gonna change from 5 at the back. We're definitely not gonna change from 5 at the back, especially away from home in a big game. If Amram ever were to change his formation, it's definitely not going to be at Anfield. So we're going to go for that 5 in the back. The only big kind of surprise I think that's going to happen from the lineup, and maybe it's not a surprise, is I don't think Cunha will play. I think Anfield away, where you're going to be behind the ball for a lot of the game, you're going to have to defend a lot more out of possession. I think Mount is more equipped to do that than Cunha is. Now Cunha is much better in transition than Mount, and I think we will get quite a few transitions in this game. I think we'll get a few transitions, but that depends on whether our midfield can win the ball back, which again, this midfield situation can't cope against Brentford, so I don't think they're going to be able to cope against this Liverpool team's midfield and their press. But I imagine a lot of our chances in this game are going to come from transition. For all of Mount's strengths, I wouldn't say attacking in transition is one of his biggest strengths. That's where Cunha probably shines, with his ball carrying, his directness, his risk taking. That's where he kind of shines. But Mount is more disciplined. He'll keep the ball, he'll be a bit more conservative with the play, but he also will track Liverpool's runners a lot more, especially if somebody like Szoboszlai. I'm not sure if Szoboszlai is going to play midfield, he might play right back, but if Szoboszlai is at right back and he's making those forward runs ahead of Salah, Mount will be the one to track him all game. I think Amram might even do like a man marking job on whoever Liverpool's spare man is, and whether that's Szoboszlai at right back or maybe Gravenberch roaming in midfield. I think Mount will be told to just stick on him and stay with him the entire game, because I think Amram is probably going to be quite... yeah, I'll say it's negative. He'll be quite behind the ball. Obviously, if we go out all guns blazing at Anfield, there's a good chance we'll get beaten, because Liverpool are the best transition team in the league by far. I think a lot of the game will be us behind the ball, but hopefully we can get something out of the game. Again, I don't think any Man United fan is confident. Now, not many Liverpool fans I've seen are that confident either, so it's kind of a weird one. Usually going into this game, especially the last 4 or 5 years, there's been one immediate favourite, and that's been Liverpool. So it looks like both teams are a bit kind of on the wobble. I mean, Liverpool have been on the wobble for the last 3 weeks. We've been on the wobble for the last 3,000 weeks. So I think I rather would play Liverpool while they're on a good run, just because that kind of happened last season. I remember when we went to Anfield and drew 2-2, Liverpool were top of the league. They were cruising through the league. And I think they kind of underestimated us a little bit. They kind of thought they could kind of breeze through the match. Whereas in this game, they're going to be so up for it. They're going to be so up for it because they've lost 3 games in a row and it's Man United. So they're going to run that extra bit harder, that extra bit further. Whereas I think we benefit from them underestimating us. We benefit from their mindset being, we can just breeze through this game. That's where we could kind of capitalise, but because they're going to be so up for it, it's going to be very difficult for us to get a result, I think. It's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool set up, because there's been a lot of talk about, I think Jamie Carragher said on Monday Night Football, he said Wirtz should come out with the team, Florian Wirtz should come out with the team, and they should go back to what they were doing last season just to get the basics right again. I'm not sure how much that will play into Slot's head. Slot has his own idea of how he's going to do things, but I imagine their front three is going to be Salah, Gakpo, Isak. That's what I'm guessing. You feel a bit sorry for Ekitike because he's been amazing for Liverpool so far. He's been one of their best players this season, but because of the price tag of Isak, and in fairness how good Isak is, he's obviously going to start these kind of games. The midfield is interesting because I think McAllister has been so bad this season for Liverpool, which is such a surprise because I don't like saying I like Liverpool players, but McAllister is definitely my favourite Liverpool player. I think he's amazing, especially last season, season before, even at Brighton, ever since the World Cup really. So his performances for Brighton, the World Cup, Argentina, and since he moved to Liverpool, I think he's probably been the most consistent midfielder in the Premier League, along with maybe Declan Rice in that kind of number 8 position. But he gets so underrated and kind of undervalued in my opinion. And I think he's one of the best midfielders in the league. But it just hasn't really happened for him this season so far. It's been that way for a lot of Liverpool players. But again, now would be the best time for them to face us. They've got quite a few players out of form. But McAllister's been a really surprising one for me. A few issues at defence as well. I think Konate's injured, so they might have to drop someone else into centre-back with Van Dijk. So they're definitely vulnerable, but I think they're just going to be so up for it that we're going to really struggle with their intensity and their pressing and the crowd as well. I mean, it's not often Liverpool lose 3 games in a row, and they've had to sit on that as well for the international break, sit on 3 losses in a row. So they've had to wait 2 weeks to get their hit back in. So yeah, it's gonna be a tough one, but I do hope we pull through. I think if we got a draw, like a 1-1 or a 2-2, I think there's absolutely zero chance that we keep a clean sheet, to be honest. So I think 1-1 or 2-2 would be nice. I think if we go down, if we concede the first goal, we might find it very difficult to get back into the game. We have to get through the first 15-20 minutes, hopefully unscathed, because once Liverpool get 1, they can get 2 or 3 in the next few minutes just as easily. So we need to just keep our composure, defend well, keep our heads. But also, I'd like us to show a little bit of authority as well. Like, I know we're going to sit behind the ball and we're going to try hit them on transition. I assume that's what the plan is, but I'd like to see us take the ball as well and try and play a bit. And a part of me is saying that's a stupid idea because we've got a midfield that doesn't function properly going to Anfield, but this manager is back in this midfield. He's back in this formation. So if it's going to work, he's going to have to start. He's been here a year now, essentially. He's going to have to start showing that this formation can control the big games, which we all know it can't, but he's got to start showing that if he wants to keep his job, essentially. It's going to be a big game. I'm really looking forward to it. Half me is nervous, half me is excited, but I've seen us lose 7-0 to Liverpool, so I feel like I can't get hurt that badly again. So yeah, look, I'm gonna call it at 1-1. I think we might go ahead. I think we'll get to half time at 0-0. I think we'll score early enough in the second half, but I think Liverpool will claw it back. Salah with a jammy goal. Salah always scores against us, and he's been terrible this season. It's his worst start to a season I think he's ever had at Liverpool, but he's definitely going to score a scrappy goal in this game. Whether it's a winner or an equaliser, he's definitely going to score this game. So we have to prepare ourselves for that and accept that. But hopefully we can get a 1-1 draw. I'd be more than happy with a 1-1 draw, especially with how much better their team is compared to us. But look, we'll see how it plays out. I will be doing a match review for the game. Obviously, it's one of our biggest games of the season, and we'll talk about the highs and lows of the game. Hopefully more highs than lows. But yeah, remains to be seen, guys. So let me know what your score prediction is in the comments below. I'm going for a 1-1, more out of hope rather than actual belief, but sometimes hope is all we got. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.